Welcome to Molecules to Market, a program by Portfolio Planning Plus. Today we have the immense pleasure to welcome Mr. Ashok Sinha, a cost management and project controls executive with over 4 decades of experience, overseeing concurrent capital projects worth more than 3 billion annually across nuclear and conventional power, oil and gas, refining, petrochemicals, LNG, mining, and infrastructure. Holding a mechanical engineering degree, an MBA, and full membership in AACE International, Ashok has led cost estimating and project controls on capital projects ranging from 10 million to 9 billion, spanning work in Canada, Mexico, Qatar, India, and Algeria across client, contractor, engineering, and consulting organizations. Today, he joins us to share his deep expertise in integrated project controls, cost estimating, and the discipline required to keep mega projects on budget and on schedule. The first question I want to ask Ashok is to tell us his story about the cost estimating solution he has developed. So Ashok, the floor is yours.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Nicolas and Uwe. Very nice that you invited me on this platform. Many thanks to all of you. Having said that, yeah, this is a small story about my this company, Archit Business Solutions. As Nicolas has explained, I'm having around 50 years experience working all across the globe in the area of cost estimation, project controls, and other areas also. So a story started, though I work all across the globe. I've got a son and daughter. My son was an engineer and he was a global player. He was representing country as you can call it, he was from the national cricket team. And he was an engineer from Purdue, one of the top 10 engineering schools in the United States. When moved to Canada, so he was very loving child. No smoking, no cigarette, no running around, no drinking, and very loyal to the family, very loyal to the work. But I lost him in a car accident in Canada. About after 1.5 years, he moved to Canada from United States. So then I thought of doing something in his memory, and I thought of bringing whatever I know about the estimation and project controls, I should bring on a platform which might help the industry to get advantage of whatever I know. When I say whatever I know, I don't claim I'm the best cost estimator. What I say, I am one of the best practical cost estimator, because cost estimating by industry changes, by this company changes, not the fundamentals, but the structure. And that's the reason. So I decided to create a company called Archit Business Solutions. It is the name of my son Archit, to keep his name up. You never know things, we are trying to work hard to having business, and even we developed a software in his name. So that is the story behind this project cost estimating Archit Business Solutions, my being over here.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want now to explain, to introduce cost estimating in the industry?
Yeah, that's a good question, Nicolas. A lot of people get confused about what is cost estimating. Trust me.
Yeah.
Most of the people think cost estimation means 2 into 2 is equal to 4. No, that is not true. In the cost estimating world, it is 2 into 2 is equal to 4 or 5 or 3. It all depends upon the situation, environment, market condition, a lot of things. So let me say what is cost estimating as a definition. The cost estimating is the predictive process used to quantify, cost, and price the resources required by the scope of an investment option, activity, or project. Cost estimating is a process used to predict uncertain future cost for a given scope of work. Let me explain slightly more. What happens? You as a project manager, you want to execute a project. In order to execute a project, you need to know, oh, come on, for this given scope of work, if I need to execute this project, how much it will cost, which includes your material, the quantity, your construction, procurement, and so on and so forth. But one thing also, it is in the given environment. What I mean to say, suppose I'm putting a plant in Canada, there are different environments, different infrastructures are there. If I put a plant in India, it's a slightly different ballgame. The productivity are different, the people are different, the support infrastructures are different. So when you're making an estimate, you should be able to represent market value of the given scope of work. So cost estimates, a real project cost estimate represents a market value of the given scope of work. And that's the reason it is called predictive. We are predicting. It is not an 100% science, it is science plus arts. That is the reason I call it techno-commercial. It's a technical background matters a lot in deciding the cost parameters, what it should cost. So as a cost engineer, you should be able to imagine what is going to happen how to build this plant. So this is one part. Now, if you look at this, what is cost estimating? Similarly, again, there is why cost estimating. That was what cost estimating and why cost estimating. Because what is going to happen by if you know, one thing is very sure, there are three fundamentals which a owner decides before they put the plant. One is the project budget, another is the project schedule, another is the objective of the project. And out of these three, we all can say by experience. Everybody wants to say, hey, how much is going to cost? So cost is the single most important decision-making tool for anybody. Even we want to go and buy something in the market, hey, how much it will cost? So that's the reason cost is a very, very important thing. Then you can find out, based on the budget, you can find out, oh, how much return I'm going to get it. Only then you invest the money. So that's the reason it has got basically established a target cost range for the project, how much it will cost. Second point becomes that when you are putting an estimate, that's a very fundamental thing. Then you check, does it cover a complete scope of work? Suppose they want to say, hey, I want to set up an office. Set up an office does not mean a room only. There is a table, there is a chair, there is a couch, and so on and so forth. So you have to think from the scope of work what it will entail to make an estimate. Second thing becomes, it also says this is the total cost for various phases. I will not go in detail of that, but project is executed in various phases. It says, oh, my dear friend, for this phase, this is your budget, and this is what you have to perform. So that tells you, that sets a parameter for us to make the cost control of the project so that you can implement the early warning system. So that is basically why cost estimating. Another thing becomes, when you're having, I will continue like this, capital expenditure funds are used by organization various projects involving acquiring or upgrading physical assets. Now the question becomes, where these things are used further. This is the purpose. A company can acquire an asset, or they can improve the assets. So you require a cost estimate. Before, what happened? So suppose you want to create a new asset, or you want to upgrade the asset. Both the cases, you require to understand how much it is going to cost you. Suppose a company has got a budget of $1 billion to spend in this fiscal year. And in that situation, you go, how much I can put, what project I should select, which has got a better return, internal rate of return. So that's the reason cost estimate becomes a real most important tool for decision making. Also, it is not for the owner. I work for owner, contractors, and consulting organization. Owner invest money, so they need to know very carefully what is the budget of a project. So good cost estimation is very important. Similarly, contractors are quoting for the job. When contractors quote the job, they don't want to lose them. They don't want to really, they want to win the job, for which they also have to have a real very good cost estimation. If you don't have a real good cost estimation, you don't have an internal cost control, you will lose the money or you will lose the chance to win the project. So what I mean to say, if you look at all those things, these are a lot of fundamentals are there, which is required to, a lot of things are there. Budget becomes a very crucial factor. And that's the reason I'm just trying to talk on a very, very, very high level that this is why we require a cost estimation. Based on everything, I can only summarize. Project cost estimate is considered as most important decision-making tool for the owners and decision makers. And that is where
when you talk about a project cost estimate, do you mean cost estimating at the global project level? Let's say an integrated project, a refinery, petrochemical complex, or is that about cost estimate for individual assets like a power plant, a refinery asset, a polymerization plant? How do you do that?
You are absolutely correct. 100% or fundamentally, project Nico. What happens? Because if you see my profile, I have worked in various organizations. Starting from, I'm telling for a region, starting from pharmaceutical industry to chemical plant to refineries to petrochemicals to oil and gas, LNG, and so power plant, a lot of things. It's a very valid question. So in some of the interviews, I was asked, hey, come on, you are coming from, say, refineries, how you will do better and how you can do the estimate for, say, power plant. I would like to tell you the fundamental of cost estimates are same. Fundamental principle of cost estimating are same means every project, every plant, whether it's refinery or petrochemicals or even offsites, they will have an equipment. They will have a bulk material, piping, electrical instrumentation. They will have a civil work. They will have engineering, various phases of engineering, prelim engineering, detail engineering, feasibility study, front end design and everything. These things are there. Everywhere it is there. So the point becomes fundamentally things are same. Now, your question is what changes? The changes, Nicolas, are basically in the area what equipments we are dealing with. This is one part. The equipment which is applicable in refinery, like for example, we are doing CD unit, a VDU unit, crude distillation, a vacuum distillation. There's a large columns, 40 meter, 50 meter columns. But if you go in a power plant, it is a generator. Only equipment changes. It is not the fundamental changes. This is one part. Second part also changes. I'm just talking now global. This is a type of industry because it does not matter. As a region, Nicolas, I consider myself successful when I said a practical cost estimator, we call it a cost engineer, a practical cost engineer, because fundamental same, we are able to tweak it for the project requirement. But on global requirement, because I worked everywhere, almost every country in the world and almost with every large engineering companies in the world. What differs? As I said earlier, it is the location factor. For example, if you are working in Canada or America, you are paying for a labor, say, fitter or welder, $60, $70 per hour. But if you are doing in India, you are paying, say, $20 per hour. I'm just giving an example. But productivity also differs. It's not that the people in India are bad or good. It is the machine which supports the people in Canada, America, Europe, as compared to Asian country. So when you are making these things, you have to understand what are the things available. Third thing becomes regulation and regulatory approvals. If you put a plant in, say, Asian countries, there's different regulatory approvals are there. What is the resource? From where it is coming? These factors are taken into account while making an estimate. So that way, if you are a good cost estimator, and that's the advantage of me being in the market and I working with the PP Plus, it gives an opportunity to to support PP Plus so that they can quote anywhere, do anywhere, and we have got the capability to do that job. Did I answer your question, Nicolas, on this?
Yeah, so you mean that you are doing the cost estimate at a global level for a complete project, but you have to do it piece by piece for each individual asset you have in your project.
Yes, you are right, because it all depends upon, for example, I will give an example, say a very good example of refinery, crude distillation unit. And now crude distillation unit is an ISBN, inside battery limit. So this particular item will have a set of items. There's a plant layout and equipment location that will have pumps, vessels, compressors, and so on and so forth. So this one estimate will give for cost per CDU, crude distillation unit. Also, suppose you want to make a small change of changing some MCC. Even so, these are a small job, but it can create the cost estimate for MCC. When I'm saying MCC, it is not
you mean
MCC, motor control center. I'm just giving an example, a small component. Okay. Or suppose in refinery you want to change a pump. People will say a pump. What people do will just go and buy the pump, but that's not the true thing. When you are doing a pump estimate, you are supposed to see what pump is required, when it is going to procure, are we required to do some engineering, then how it will be dismantled, how it will be connected, how the hookups will take place. So we do this all types of estimate, either for the full project, full plant, or a small component. That is possible with our system. So that is what is there. And just to continue with you, that's the reason actually there is an organization called AACE, Association for Advancement of Cost Engineering International, which you referred in your introduction. If you want, I can. If you can allow me, I can speak something about that. Yeah. Is it okay for you, sir?
Of course. Yeah, of course, yeah.
So what has happened? Because when I say I've worked all across the globe and different industry. It's not only me, a lot of people also. So what has happened, in order to govern the system and process of industry, there's one association which is called Association for Advancement of Cost Engineering International. Exactly. Association for Advancement of Cost Engineering International. This is based in Morganto, United States. This is the only a single largest governing body for cost engineers all across the globe. So we all are guided by the system by AACEI. That is I stand for international.
You say across the globe. Does it apply really everywhere in the world, also in China and India and everywhere? The Chinese, they are member of this association as well?
To my knowledge, yes. They have got several thousand members, and every big city, if you go in India, New Delhi or Mumbai or everybody, they have got a local chapter is there. In Calgary also, in Ottawa also. These local chapters are everywhere. Even I was in Qatar. Qatar had a local chapter. So it is all across the globe. This is the only global organization. We follow their class of their estimating principle. So in that, they have defined what classes of estimates are there. And every cost engineer, they follow that rule, especially the owner company. So if you go find this thing exactly, so basically as per AACI, there are 5 classes of estimate: class 5, class 4, class 3, class 2, class 1. Everybody, Nicolas and you might be knowing very well that when we start a project, we know hardly anything. Design is very low. Yeah. That's the reason, if you look at class 5, we make it 0 to 2%. Engineering is known practically none, next to none. And then you're making class 5 estimate. That class 5 estimate, I will not go for this thing on detail, but this is for concept screening. So you are just trying to find out concept optimization you are doing it. But see the expected accuracy. It is going from minus 50 to plus 100. Why? The things are very much unknown. Go for class 4. Something more engineering has to be done. 1 to 15%. So you know now better. Major parameters are known. And so you go for feasibility study. As for refinery, in the case of refinery, we call it feasibility study. In case of power plant, we call different names there. And you say your accuracy keeps on changing, minus 30 plus 50 in the last column. Go class 3, engineering is done 10 to 40%. And then you go, your accuracy becomes minus 20 to plus 30%. I'm just talking last column and first two columns. Class 2, your engineering is done 30 to 75%, and estimate accuracy becomes minus 15 plus 20%. What I mean to say, more definition, a cost estimate is directly associated with the status of engineering, the amount of engineering done. And when you are almost near to the in execution, you make class 1 estimate. When engineering is practically done, your execution is 50-60% done. So, we follow this completely. That is the rule of the game. Every cost engineer follow this rule. So that brings consistency all across the globe. If you go for the third column here, end users. Class 5 is done for concept. Class 4 is for feasibility. Class 3 for budget authorization. You might have heard term budget. Because when you are going to management to ask money, they authorize a budget. Class 2, now we are going for tendering. That is called control estimate. And class 1, it is check estimate, means you are doing execution. So I just wanted to take you through, and that brings us a consistent approach by all cost engineers all across the globe. So that is what I want to talk about AACI.
Mm-hmm.
So I think.
So
I hope
we see.
Yeah.
We see many projects across the globe where you have considerable cost escalation after the investment decision. So a project is started and construction starts, and over the years, then the cost is escalating 50%, 100%, even higher. How can we explain that?
Yeah, it is a very good question, Nicolas. What happens? It is very interesting. Most of the people, especially sitting in the boardroom, they call me, call you, call somebody. Hey, I want to put a refinery in Panipat or petrochemical plant in China. I'm just giving an example of it. They call their so-called directors. How much it will cost? Oh, this has costed this much, so this will cost you this much. This costs us this much, so a lot of guesswork is being done. So in that situation, the fundamental to answer your question is three. First question is this: when you are making an estimate, which is my next slide will say, a scope of work. If you don't have a clear, consistent, and complete scope of work, you will not be able to find out the risk associated with this. A lot of change orders will come. So that is one reason a lot of people go to the project without defining the scope of work, or before having a proper definition of the scope of work. This is one part. Second part becomes here, lack of project controls. I didn't like project control earlier when I started cost estimating in 1982. But when I started doing project control after 5 years, I said, oh, come on, this is such a good system because that gives you early warning system. This is called early warning system, Nicolas, because every step you are measuring how much your planned progress, how much you are doing it, how much your planned budget, how much you are spending. So this is called, you might have heard about earned value management. So application of earned value management is very, very important so that you can know well in advance how the project is going ahead and what is the likely forecasted cost and forecasted time to complete the project. But most of the project managers, they avoid it. oh my God, this is a problem. I'm just talking about owner. Contractors, their estimate is almost okay because they cannot afford to lose the money. Another third reason from owner side is this: they commit the project, but decisions become delayed. Lack of funds. What happens if you don't do a good cost estimate? If you don't have a good schedule, if you don't have good scope of work, obviously, you don't have bound value management, after 60-70% project is complete, you start looking for the fund. And there is a fund restrictions are there. So that's the reason your region of a major cost escalation is unclear scope of work, undefined scope of work, lack of good teamwork, lack of funding, and trust me, lack of project controls. If you don't do all those things, I'm the best estimator in the world, I don't control. You've got a budget for your house, say $10,000 a month. You don't have control, you will spend easily $50,000. So, that's the way this region, there's a cost escalation. And that's another region, Nicolas and Ove, I would like to say, I'm an engineer. A lot of people, they don't like cost estimation, but I like cost estimation, a cost engineer. Because trust me, if you are a cost engineer, then you should be able to make a really good cost estimate. That's the reason I use the word techno-commercial. I'm not remained fully technical after 50 years after doing my engineering. I forgot some part of it differently. I'm not using it day and day night. But commercial aspect we'll also see. How it's going to impact. So that's the reason you require a very good cost estimating. You require a very understanding how you will do it. I mean, just for example, if you look at here, if you go for next slide, that says what is required major steps of building a cost estimate. That says very basically review a scope of work. In this, if you go this slide, can you go below, further below, further, almost at the end, yeah. Please, Nicolas, yeah. After this, review a scope of work. I just said a cost estimate will guide your scope of work also. If a scope of work is complete, means if you want me to make it, Ashok, make this office, I must see what is needed to be. Office cannot be without without light, proper table, proper chair, proper couch. Nobody is going to. They will say, oh, I need an office. I'm just giving an example. So you require to have a scope of, you must review the scope of work. You should have what class of estimate. If I'm in execution phase, it should be class 1. If it is, so you should have a proper template to bring consistency. If you don't have a template, you will forget. It will be just like estimating from the back pocket of my trouser, which is wrong. Similarly, you should be able to drill down you should have a work breakdown structure. You should have a separate, you should find out what materials are required. You should find out what is the appropriate, what the type of labor you require it, what is the queue build-up, what is their productivity. That's all. What is the contingency? Contingency is a very, very important factor. People just put at the bottom line. No, go by Monte Carlo process. Then we'll find out what is the real good amount of contingency. Then when you're making an estimate, a lot of people they just take the pump, but they forget there's a management cost also. There's this person, the chairman sitting over in the company, they don't charge to the project directly, but they are part of the overhead. Electricity, water, the lights in the office, your office furniture, everything is overhead. You must add into this. So what happens, to answer another question to you, Nicolas, these guys, a lot of people, they don't count for this thing, but these are going to happen. You cannot avoid it. You are an employee. You have got a lot of benefits you are getting from your company. That people don't count on. So that is another reason, if you don't have interest during construction, they say, oh, we have got money from our company, but still you are losing interest. If you're putting the money in the bank, what you're investing in the project, you'd have earned interest. So there's interest during construction. So I will tell you something. This additional cost is around 30-35% of the direct cost. Direct cost means construction cost and engineering cost. These other costs, your interest during construction, your project overhead, and all those things are around 30-35%. Another thing people don't do it, which is another region of cost overrun. People make the cost estimate as of date, what is today. But it goes for 3-4 years. You must apply the future escalation. If you don't have future escalation, yes, so cost will go up. So these are the fundamental things which I will say it increases the cost. Again, I think you are on this slide. It's very important. Then what should be the type of cost estimation? It is like this way, Nicolas, overestimating and underestimating. Suppose you say, oh, come on, I need $100, put $1,000. That's totally wrong. You have to make a real cost estimate, a good cost estimate, so that you can say what it will cost. But suppose in place of $100, you put the budget at $1,000, means you are blocking $900. And you are stopping other projects because you have got a limited budget. So you should not overdo the overestimate. For example, overestimate, maybe in place of $100, you have put $1,000. What is going to happen, Nikhil? When you go for financing, internal rate of return, it says only 3%, 2%, which is not true. It might be given 10-12% return, but with the overestimating, your return looks very low, which is also bad. You are stopping the project. Secondly, you are holding the budget and not allowing other projects to proceed. So these are two very bad things. Now, if you go for underestimating, oh my God, underestimating means budget overruns. If there is a budget overruns are required, is faced, how you can do it? Either you reduce the scope of work, means you are doing half work, that is called budget overruns, may require additional, so it may require additional funding. So what you will do for you reduce the scope of work means you are not doing a complete work. Second thing can be there, you can stop some other project in order to complete this project. So other project remains half done. And most likely when you go to the bank, ask for the money, that time your rate of interest may shoot up like anything 10, 12, 15%. And that is another reason, Nicolas, project becomes very costly. So, these are the decisions. Neither overeating nor undereating is good. Similarly, not overestimating, neither overestimating nor underestimating is desirable. Yeah.
So maybe our financial guy here in the room, Uwe, has to say something about that. We have gone through these stories. I'm not sure if Uwe is catching you.
Hello. Yeah. I hope the connection is good enough to hear me. I can fully relate to what Ashok is saying. Unfortunately, in my career and a lot of projects we looked at, we often come to the underestimating part. That at the end, when we looked at the results, costs were underestimated. We were facing cost overruns. However, overestimating may not be that visible, so it doesn't show up. It's rarely that you have a project that you say, well, we really overestimated these costs. The usual one that happens is you just spend the money that you have in the budget, you use it. But the crunch time comes at the execution of the project. So is your project, are the costs in line, or even if you manage your overspend, is your startup, after the execution of the project, is your startup coming in? Are you generating the returns? And that's the worst case if you have a cost overrun and you're not having the startup at the right time, so you're not generating the returns to cover for any of the cost overruns that you see. So that is what I've seen in my career, is a very crucial element.
No, you're 100% right. Because I tell you one thing, I always say three things to all my people here. I will not take the name of the companies, but I will always tell all my colleagues, hurry, worry, curry. They all spoils everything. When you are going for execution of project, don't hurry. Go, do the very detailed engineering, do a good engineering. If you don't do a good engineering upfront, if your front-end design is not complete, it lacks, as you said rightly, way, it results ultimately in the execution. Because rule of the game is, thumb rule is, as you know, if it is $100 is the cost of a project, $20 goes around project management engineering. Your $40 goes towards procurement of item. I'm just taking normal thumb rule. $35 goes for installation. So basically, you're rightly saying around $75 goes for your during execution, procurement, installation phase, and 5 to 10% dollar goes about your commissioning and closeout. 100% you're right. And that's the reason I always say when you are starting a project, spend more time, do very good engineering, have a very good scope of work. Three regions of failures are
What
there.
are the what are the solutions to do good engineering, as you say? Because there are several approaches, yeah, to do the engineering design of a project. You can have a master EPC. You can do selective engineering by plant. You can do global engineering. So, what are the approaches?
And I tell you, it is just like this. I will just give it a very good example. You want to make a house. You are making a house. I'm just giving one example. You are making a house. You should know you want a house of 500 square meter. You should know you have got 3 bedroom house. You should know it should be multi floor. What I mean to say, the fundamental of good cost estimate is the scope of work and your execution strategy. Because if you don't have a complete scope of work, I always use the word 3 C's: complete, consistent, and clear. If you have got a good scope of work, that will drive to you how to execute the project. Means you want to have external contractor, you want to have internal contractor, you want to have this type of construction equipment, and with a good scope of work, a good project schedule, a good execution strategy, you will have a realistic project schedule. The point fundamentally starts from your scope of work. If you don't have good scope of work, how you will do the engineering? You are given, engineering is the heart of a project. But if you are not able to, when you are there and you know only half of the job is as a scope of work, you will miss something. And that is the reason I always insist that you spend more money, you can spend more money, more time upfront, but that will save you, as you always say, during execution, tons of money, surprises will be less, change order will be less, it will be done on or time. I'll give a very good example. When I was in Qatar, I worked for a company called Qatar Petroleum. There I was working for always multi-billion-dollar project. In my lifetime of about 10 years, I will say, when I was in some commanding position, I think only 2 projects were delayed in my 10 years tenure, and over budget also. One was delayed by about, say, 6 weeks because of fire water line not working in the last moment. Another was detained, it was an EPC contractor. It was delayed by 3 years because of EPC contractor could not meet the design requirement. Other than everything was on time. Why? Because contracting strategy also matters. Means if you are going for a time and material, is open box. You don't have a good scope of work, but they go mostly on the lump sum contract. So for lump sum contract, you have to have a really very good scope of work. So what I mean to say, as you said, it is a lot of things are there. A scope of work is a fundamental driver. Their cost engineer becomes a very important tool. I always preferred, with due respect to all of you, but I prefer a people with a technical expertise, a technical knowledge to become a cost engineer. Because that way they have to think technically. As you were talking about, say, for example, crude distillation unit just now, Nicolas. Yes, if I'm asked to make this Meroxis, I have to go through what goes into making a Merox unit. What are the equipments? What are the items? What is missing? Suppose you put, okay, fine, there is a pump. But I should know from where, as a cost estimator, I should be able to visualize from where I'm going to get the water, get the electricity, how it's getting connected. So these all are responsibility of a cost engineer. So that's the reason you require a really refined cost engineer. And I believe you're with on PP Plus in our platform, I think we can provide very good cost estimate to our clients. The quality,
That's
consistency.
very good, very interesting comment you are making, because as you may know, we will be launching a model refinery project in India with our previous guest, Sanjay Gupta, and we'll make the design of the refinery, and we will go into the financials and economics of the project, and will require cost estimating for the complete refinery. I think this is where we could put your software to work and demonstrate its capabilities. In the you are going to support us with that activity, actually.
No, no, definitely. It is a pleasure to work with PP Plus and be associated with PP Plus. There's no doubt about it. I feel very that Archit Business Solution is lucky to get support from you. But I trust you. We can, as a cost estimating team, we can provide everything whatever you have. I tell you, trust me, I am always constant under evaluation by various engineering companies for my cost estimating and project control capability for last several decades. I've been always been successful so far. As for so if you go for my another PowerPoint presentation, what has happened? The other one, Archit, project estimates in second, Nicolas. What happened if you go for this thing?
The other presentation, you mean?
Other one, project estimates in second. Yeah, yes, sir. So if you look at here, what is happened? As I explained to you, as I stated earlier, what is happening in the business? Cost is the single most important decision-making tool. So
second most important was the first most important.
First, yeah, this is the most important. I will say, yeah, this is single
the most important.
Yeah,
single most important. Okay.
Single, because you're sitting. You made a point, Nicolas. Oh, yeah, we are going to have a refinery in India, for example. Now you want an estimate. Now we are requiring estimate of various classes. Suppose we are putting a CDU as having this capacity. Every refinery will have a capacity. You would like to know, hey, how much is going to cost? You cannot have a detailed cost estimate because until you go some detailed engineering. But you need some number with confidence where you can say, oh, this is going to cost this much. This unit is going to cost this much. So that's the reason we developed a project estimates in seconds. Archit Business Solution developed project estimates in seconds. And that is what he said, especially designed for owners, decision makers, chief executive managers, and higher management. You're sitting in the boardroom. You don't have we are having a Mangalore refinery of say 10 metric ton, and you know these are the units, these are the licenses. That's all you know. You don't know much at this stage of time. Because engineering has to go, as you know, in refinery, there are different phases. There is a feasibility studies, there is a front-end design engineering, concept optimization. The phases of engineering are there. It cannot be done on the first day. So for that purpose, when you're sitting in the boardroom, idea is don't guess. And that's the reason if you go for second page, this is what we are saying here. If we go for next page on this way, yeah, managing a business, especially when managing budgets, magnitude, risk, and making crucial decisions is no easy task. First, the long and tiresome computations are like studying a hardness test. So this software, perhaps in my opinion, is first of the kind. You just put some cost of the equipment, it will give you within fraction of second your total cost for that unit, or total cost of, yeah. Or this is also a scenario. You are saying something, Nicholas?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, you need to know exactly how your plant is designed to make this cost estimate. You need to know how many vessels, pumps, compressors, columns, and so on, how they are dimensioned, what is the capacity, and so on. You need to know that details very precisely. How do you get there?
No, you need not to have those information precisely, to be honest with you. Because suppose, let's take a scenario, a refinery. So we go to the licensors, they seed you, every unit is having a licensor. Licensor is giving you a basic parameters. And there are a lot of data available for cost at a high level. Because you see in the cost of a class 5 estimate, the accuracy level is minus 50 plus 100%. Though I don't subscribe that, I will subscribe minus 40 to plus 60%. But this is what is there. So initially you don't have information, but licensor gives you that information. And they say on a high level, I'm not saying all nuts and bolts, I'm saying you are having major equipment, you have 2 columns, this diameter, or this capacity, even this thing, we can find out some cost for those items. And just put the cost of those major equipments in our software, and it will make the cost estimate immediately. It will flush out, but accuracy will be minus 50 plus 60%. But
the licensor, they also give you, typically you can get a quotation price.
Exactly, that is also a plus point.
Proposed from the licensor. You don't trust the quotation made by the licensors, the price of the installation the licensor is providing to you?
It's not like this. When you are having a budgetary quotation, first of all, I tell you, when I work as a cost engineer, I will not be just taking the licensor cost as given. I might go to the market, I might have those numbers, or in our database, because Refinery is a very easy thing. We have got a lot of similar units installed in the past. What is the cost of those particular items? There's a column. It is a very simple thing, because suppose you are having a column, tray column. We have got tons of estimate for tray column. So we can find out at a high level what is the cost for that. You have got the pumps. These are standard designs are there. We can find out the cost of those major equipment. So this is one part, but at the same time, if the budgetary quotation comes from licensor, yes, when budgetary quotation comes, we add 15 to 20%, 10 to 20% of the cost of the budgetary quotation, so that equipment cost becomes more reliable. So I will not totally discount their information. Every information in the cost estimating world is very good, very important. But you have to know how to choose. And that will, once you put that equipment cost, it will flush out your total cost of the project in my software. Also, you can tweak it. For example, my software is based on, say, project management 5%. You believe it should be 7%. You can tweak it. You believe your engineering is only this phase, you don't require a prelim engineering. You can take it out. You require external contractor. You can build in that. So you can do the customization also. So with these things, when you do customization, it will take hardly 5 minutes. So the point becomes, this cost estimate is at a very high level. This software is for a high level estimate that I always claim it is only for class 5 and class 4. Because when you start going class 3, has to be quantified. There has to be engineering done, as you say, about 10 to 40% engineering has to be done. Only then you can do class 3 estimate. But for class 5 estimate, you require 1 to 10% of engineering. If you go by that, class 1 to 15%, that's all. If you go class 5, 0 to 2%. And their accuracy is only minus 50 to 100%, they say, but I'm putting minus 40 plus 60%. So in that situation, even price fluctuates. There's a lot of other things are there which I didn't tell you. Even price fluctuates, still we are within the range. There is estimate called P10, P50, P90. I don't know whether you are aware of or not. Industry says estimate is a P10, P50, P90. Means when you are making estimate, you are making a P50 the most likely estimate. P10 is there is always only 10% chance that the cost estimate, project cost will go below P10 figure, and P90 is this 90% chance is there, the cost estimate will remain within 90% of the estimated cost. What I mean to say, so class 4 and 5, our cost estimating software is pretty well because you don't need much engineering. You need some information at a very high level. You don't need to have how much piping, how much electrical, how much instrumentation, how much. You don't need. You cannot do with 0 to 2% engineering for class 5. But with this information, what is licensors informations are there, whatever in-house data is there, we know, let's assume a scenario, even if we don't have exact column dimension, we have got similar column dimension, and we can provide it as a cost engineer within, you are talking for a CDU cost. I'm just giving an example of CDU refinery. Even if I have to find out, see, for the cost of the CDU unit, I will take hardly about an hour or two to find out the cost of the major equipment, either by the library or updating the licensor budgetary quotation. I will put in our format in our software. It will flush out the cost within second.
By experience, when you mentioned you don't trust, so you have to be careful with the quotation you get from the licensors, and you do this calculation yourself. By experience, have you seen big discrepancies between the quoted price and your cost estimate?
I will not say it was never. I will not say it was never, but chances had been very few, because that's the reason I tell you. Let me say something to both of you. Even I was having a discussion with large organizations recently. I was talking about contingency to both of you. What happens? There are two types of things happen in cost estimation. One is called known unknown. Another is called unknown. And very few people use this term. What is known unknown? I will tell you. Very interesting. Suppose you have got 0%, 2% engineering. You don't know about piping. It is all on factors. But you know it is going to come. Even if you have done, say, 20% engineering. You know, with 20% engineering, you can done maybe only large size pipe and large size cable, you have done it. You have not gone to the smaller size of the cable or all those things. So obviously, you know the quantity has got to go. So you put allowances. So that's is called allowances. Budgetary quotation. You know why it is called budgetary quotation? Because technical parameters are not formed at that point of time. So we go to the market, especially for long lead item, much early in the engineering phase, in order to avoid delay. But your engineering is only 70-80% complete. Your technical specs for large equipment is not complete. So we go to the market so that we tie up with the vendor and he gives a quotation. But his or her quotation is based on 80% of technical specification they know about it, which is known that point of time. So we add 10 to 15% or 20%, range is normally 10 to 20%. We add this thing, depend upon the quality of information was provided to the vendor. So answering your question, trust me, 95% of cases I have been successful. That my budgetary quotation factor and actual cost was on dot in 95% cases. So that's the reason here. Carry on, sir. Please, sir.
Yeah. So you say you can do this cost estimates for a single unit, let's say in atmospheric distillation unit, maybe an FCC, a coker, whatever is in a refinery. Yeah, you can do it within minutes or an hour maybe. Yeah.
No,
Um,
because class 5 when you're sitting in the boardroom, you don't have time. You
yeah.
cannot say, you cannot go to the detail. You cannot have detail engineering. You cannot do it. So this our cost software. This is what I'm sorry I could not complete that. This software gives you an opportunity with the limited information. It will flush out what is the best cost, what the cost
Yeah.
it will have, and you will ask me what is the basis. Our software is having some units like it covers pharmaceutical industry, it covers chemical plants, it covers LNG, it covers oil and gas, it covers refineries, petrochemicals, power plants. Why only these? Because I have worked on these units myself. It is based on my personal experience plus experience which is weighted on the books. I'll give a very good example of this thing, why I developed this software. There's a big history about it. And during the time of COVID in 2019, I'm working as a consultant with a company called NB Power. So my director called me, Ashok. I said, what? There were around 30, 40 estimates. I want to have a class 5 estimates. Well, fine, I can do it. That's not a problem. I said, he said, how much time you will take? I said, I will take about 2 months time or 3 months or something, I said. He said, no, I want everything in 2 weeks time. I said, Ryan, it's not going to work. It's not possible for me to do it. No, I want it. Trust me, it was COVID, so I went my home and then I started, what should I do it? Then I wrote my formula. It was, I didn't develop the software at that point in time. I took Excel sheet. I developed what was knowledge I had because I knew it, how the factors work. Trust me, within a week I developed something. And then after, I started making estimate. All 40, 50 estimates were completed in 3 or 4 days time. So that since then, that is being used as a prime tool in this is a very large organization. If you know, in Canada, they call Crown Corporation. This is a Crown Corporation for the New Brunswick. And there are around 4,000 employees. We generate around 3,500 megawatt. Trust me, for all the nuclear unit, this is the tool being used since 2019 to have a class 5 number, class 5 and class 4 estimate. It is running very successfully. Even some contractor, which I objected, they use this software. They could find out. So what I mean to say, and even my director has given me a testimony also that yes, he's working for last 5, 6, 7 years very successfully. So what I mean to say, it is tested that way. But this tool has been developed, to be honest with you, it is a very advanced version of that. That was a bare Excel. This also looks like an Excel format, but there's a lot of formula art behind, as a coded formula. So that's the reason I'm just trying to tell you, I'm just trying to share with both of you that it is not taken from the book. When I go and sell my software, a lot of people come, I'm there for last in business for 3 years. I'm also selling a software. These people, a lot of people, they are making a software based on reading the book, what they hear from others. But this is exactly based on my experience. Even working for the power plant for last 7 years, when I developed it, it is successfully running even today. So that is what I want to say as a success story of this tool. Because you can just put the number, and it will flush out your number. This tool has got this software has got a 3 section. What happens if it is a high cost equipment? Your total cost will become, say, normal scenario is this: if $100 is the cost of equipment, $400 is the cost of the total project cost. But if it is your equipment cost is very high, it will not become 400, it will become 250 or 300. But if it is low cost of equipment, it is not very costly. They are putting pumps. It's not costly. The cost will not become 4 times, it will become around 4.5 or 5 times, depends upon the industry. So this software also provides this type of functionality.
Mm-hmm. Can you maybe explain to us how does your solution compare with market available software for cost estimation?
That's a very interesting question you ask, and it is very difficult to answer this question for me. You will ask me why. Because, I know almost all software companies in the world. And most of them, they know me. I'm not a big fan of software. I have worked on some of the software differently. But trust me, I'm just making a very bad statement. I have not recommended anybody to make a cost estimate through software for class 3 to 1. Reason are, okay, let me go to answer your question first. What happens? There are a lot of software which is available in the market, but they are for construction phases, what Uwe was saying. It is for class 3 to 1 estimate when we have to do the detail. Engineering is done, around 10 to 40% engineering is done. So they create class 3 to 1 estimate. There is only one software, to my knowledge. I make a disclaimer, I don't take the guarantee of my statement at this point of time. But to my knowledge, there is only one company, that is Aspen K-Base. They make the estimate for class 5, like my software. But the difference between my software or our software, and I will say our software because it is on our platform, our software and Aspen K-Base is there. To make Aspen K-Base, you have to have electronic feedback. You have to feed a lot of electronic feed data. That is what I know since about 10 years back. This is what I knew. So you have to put the electronic data. So if you are having very good, like if you are having Exxon Mobil company, who are very very systematic, I do understand they can provide maybe those type of electronic documentation. You have to feed the electronic documentation. And the output was, I'm just talking a story about 10 years back, output used to be 10,000 pages. But to my knowledge, it is they don't have a good market at all because it's a very cumbersome exercise, having electronic data. So that's the reason I believe, to my knowledge, this is one of first of a kind, I will call it. I'm not claiming this is the only, but I think there's none what we do, because this is only for class 5-4. Just put the equipment cost, it flush out in one page. That's all. So that is the difference between as compared to the market. Also, you will talk about the pricing also. I talked about the pricing because the maximum software, cost estimating software, which is in sale in the market is around, they are selling around 49,000 units annually. They are having 49,000 units they are selling. So I think we have got a very good chance through our platform to help the customer to generate class 5 and 4 estimates with the list information.
Uwe, you want to comment on that?
I am all for simplicity. I'm all for a tool that gives you an immediate access and immediate view to calculating. It is something similar we're applying in Portfolio Planning Plus, where we provide a tool that gives you an instant solution where you can model the data in your views and you can take it from there. You model something for your requirements and you can do this in a very instant, hands-on and dynamic fashion. And that is what I'm taking from Ashok's tool as well, that we can really do a kickoff with a solution and then get something that can be discussed in the process and provides data in a way that is different to conventional approaches. So I am looking forward that we're doing a hands-on session here in the call to get a good look at the software and see its capabilities and how we can jointly work with that.
Well, yeah, definitely that will be great, and I will definitely may not be. I don't know, the timeline is one thing, but definitely I would like to give a demo so that we can share to the world how we can do it. I agree. That's not a problem at all. And also, we have got we can provide the link to the people. They can go and see the. They can go and there is a 7 days free trial is there. People can go and watch by themselves, and so that they should get convinced. Idea is people should be able to. We are open to any criticism. Trust me. When I developed the software way, uh, might have made 15 to 20, 15, 20 changes after that because you have to do it. Though it costs a lot of money, but I completely agree with you. I'm totally like you, whatever you said, Uwe. I want a simplicity, a complete transparency. So that when you catch me, Ashok, hey, how you have done it, I should be able to explain. Even if I'm not there, you should be able to read out. So that is what is the intention, and I totally agree with you. And I am very sure we have combined together, and we will go to quite far off, I will say.
Yes, and the best way to show it to our listeners and viewers here is really if we can give them here a hands-on demonstration together with the links how it can be accessed and with further support if that's needed.
We can do it anytime. We can make it. I think because normally to make a demo, I'm not very good in demo, but let me say I can ask another colleague of mine to join into this. But maybe I will give a demo. Whatever I can do, both of you are here. So whenever you get a plan, because it will take about 45 minutes to do it. I can do something now on a very short scale, or we can have another session for that as you feel better.
I think Ashok, we could do that in the future as a live session. So we go live on this program, and then we have guests. We have attendees who can ask questions, and you do your demonstration live to everybody present in the room.
I will definitely love to do it. Even I will share with you to both of you in India. I have opened and you can call it as a satellite office, whatever you can call it. So in that office, they are connecting with the people. They are really going to the people. They are giving a demonstration. Even this week, they are given plan. They have got a plan for having 2 demonstration. But definitely for our platform, I will like to give a demonstration. Let people have a question answer. It will be great, and we can definitely do it. Whatever way you and Uwe decide, I'm good for that.
Anything you want to add about cost estimating, your software, your projects, Ashok? Anything to add to that program?
For example, if you go to the next slide, can you go to the next slide in the same cost estimating?
Nice.
This will give you some idea. No, not this one. The cost estimating. Go for. If you go, can you go? For example, this says very clearly. Initiating a stage of project selection at decision makers boardroom. Selecting a project for execution. 3 major deciding factors, which I was talking to you. Project schedule, project cost, project objective. And estimated cost is the single largest. This explains. If you go further, if you go for next slide, Nicolas, can you go to the next slide, sir?
Yeah.
So here we are trying to say there are 2 ways of people do the job. One is intuition, guesswork. They do the guesswork. Another is they ask manager. One thing, what they do in the boardroom. They have to decide for a project. So what they do it. Somebody sitting there, they make the guesswork. Oh, it's going to cost maybe $2 million, maybe $200 million. It's a guess. Or another set of management is this. They ask their managers and they say, okay, go to your team and ask them to prepare a cost estimate, how much it will cost. So there are 2 set of people. So if you go to the next slide, Nicolas, just one. So when you go for, so what do you do it here? If you ask the managers, it takes 2-3 weeks of period on the red. How much take? These are pain points. Money is spent in hiring and maintaining a team. Budget during phase, lack cost distribution because there's not a cost distribution. What happened, So But if if they go with I'm just talking PP plus software, our software, they can get result in 60 seconds. In place of 2 to 3 weeks time, they need not to wait. Money is spent in hire. You don't hire anybody. You spend only whatever you use it. You take only, you are paying only whatever you call it $200 to $250 for 10 estimates, for example. Budget during phase lack cost distribution in various phases because people are having a different experience. But whereas this particular our software makes the cost distribution as per the industry norm. So, that is, I'm just talking green, the advantage, because there is a pain point, takes 2 3 weeks time, money is spent, you have to have a team, or you have to have an external engineering contractor, and cost distribution by phase is not correct. Whereas our software, our PP Plus and Archit Business Solutions software gives a result in 60 seconds. You don't hire anybody. You pay as you use it. And cost estimate is consistent budget distribution. And if you go for the next one, boss, next one. Now, quality. What is happening? Challenge they faced during estimation. That was the pain point. Now, numbers are only as good as the quality of cost engineers you are having. That's a very bad, difficult. Getting good person in today's market is very difficult. Everybody is running for the money. The point becomes here, they will commit anything. I saw a resume yesterday of somebody talking. This guy is having only 4 years experience. Oh God, if I share with you their resume, he's on LinkedIn, you will not believe. The point becomes people write a lot of good resume, but you may not have. So numbers are as good as the quality of people you hire. Whereas in our software, there is no human error. It is set based on the system, only for class 5 and 4. Lacks consistency since prepared by different cost engineers and cost estimator. What is happening? I'm a cost engineer, Ube is a cost engineer, Nicolas is cost engineer. We all three make the cost estimator same thing. There will be some difference, 5%, 10%, there will be difference. But if you have our software, it will be same cost. There is there will be a consistent result. Now, other consideration, lack of knowledge on the cost investment for execution of project. They don't have, they are not able to think when you are using your in-house estimator. If they are not very well experienced, they will not understand the all cost component. What is stakeholders requirement? What is the governance requirement? What is interest requirement? They will not understand. They will just multiply. Whereas it has got get cost estimate to execute the project. It consists of everything. You want to have demolition, it is also having. You are having regulatory approval, it is all having. A lot of people miss all those regulatory approvals, which is costing a lot. Similarly, a lack of appropriate idea of fund required to start a project at any given phase of the project. What happens when you go for these guys? Again, it is all human based. Whereas, so you are not getting a real number, because if I'm working from owner side, you are working you are executing the project by phase. Like if you are in a concept optimization phase, because that costs only 2%. If you go feasibility study stage, you will spend around 4%. You go for feed stage, I'm just talking in terms of refinery, front-end engineering design, we will spend around 6%. You go for data engineering, you will spend around 10%. So what is going to happen? But again, getting a good person is not possible or very difficult. Can you get the next one? I think, can you go to the next slide, Uwe? So this is, I'm saying this is especially designed for management, what you will get it, what we can get it here. So this talks about what is expected by the user from this software. So that's the reason, So at secondly, on the top of the last slide is there. This has been prepared by if you can go to the next slide, it has been prepared by me.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, who is the guy who is myself having a experience and all those things and working on this thing, major industries included this thing, And the last slide says what it provides you. If you go for the next slide, It provides a breakdown of cost by project phases. It is very difficult. People don't give it. Breakdown of cost estimate in various major cost component. What is piping, how much electrical, how much execution, how much your prelim engineering, phase engineering, how much detail engineering, phase engineering. It all gives you. So software calculates for various types of industry, because we have got around 6 or 7 module. Each module is having a different cost output, because what is coming from refinery, equipment costs $100 becomes $400. For petrochemicals it becomes $450. For chemical it becomes $350. So it is types of industry. Depends upon the type of industry, your cost factor differ, cost components differ. Like this type of things. So these are the things which I can tell you our software. When I say ours, means obviously PP Plus and Archit Business Solutions. This is what we can provide to the people. It is just like this, Nicolas. I will tell you. This is unless until you experience it. Once you start experiencing, you will love it. As Uwe said, we have to be very transparent, short and sweet. Is very important, and this is what they provide. Only one, you can call it downside of it. Today, people are in the habit of guessing. We want to change the people of the habit. Don't guess. Rely the reliable path. Go to a reliable path. That's all I can say.
Very good.
So that's a very good closing statement you make. We are very excited of working together on cost estimation in project models. Yeah, we will do soon on the platform. So it's a great insight you bring about cost estimating in the industry. Thank you very much, Ashok. And then we'll meet soon again for the following episodes and sessions on the same topic. And I want to close now. So it has been Molecules to Market. And we invite listeners and viewers to subscribe to our channels, to share these episodes, and to like our episodes. And we see you soon again on our program. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Nicolas and Uwe, for giving us a chance. And we are a team and we'll work together. One day, I tell you one thing I will suggest you to, we would like to, I'm not very much prepared for this thing, but I think we can do on earned value management. Is very, very important, SPI, CPI, because without effective project controls, you cannot do anything. So I can give some 5-10 minutes talk on this thing, because I'm also heading this project control also function in my nuclear industry. But see, I'm really excited to work with both of you and with the PP Plus. We are a team, I can tell you. I'm already with you.
Okay.
We are already together.
Thank you.
And I will, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, we have our
looking
next.
forward to this, Ashok, to really take this to the next level, show the features of your system, and then link it up with PP Plus. I believe with our asset database, your cost estimation capabilities and your software, we can really offer a whole environment for a project planning in a very different fashion than it's normally done. So we're looking forward
one platform. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. You were saying something.
So
I'm sorry.
Earned value management is a very interesting topic.
I can tell you something very good. Yeah.
Let's book it for the next session, maybe, and then.
I don't have much of the
very
slide,
nice.
but I will. No, but let me go through it. I will really, because earned value is very important, and I think and we can work around that. Most of the people in the world, I tell you one thing, they go for ecosys system way, or you might. I think Uwe must be knowing ecosys there or G2. Everything you have to customize. I have created something. You can call it semi-manual, again, semi-automated for the company where I work, but it is working so good, I tell you. Anyway, so it's a great talk to both of you, and next time, whenever you want, we can talk on the earned value, we can give presentation to our software, and as Uwe says, we can give the link and everything. let there be a question and answer session. I will be more than happy to provide that.
It has been a great pleasure talking to you, Ashok.
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. To all of both of you. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.